Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 35 of my journey through group self-found Keepers of the Flame League. Today is going to be something more like a mid-season finale, as I am not going to get my challenges complete today. I will definitely return to Keepers of the Flame League at some point before the league ends. There's a couple build ideas that I'm still interested in playing around with, but I will guaranteed come back to finish the challenges up. But today I'm going to make a sort of wish list of changes I'm hoping to see in 3.28, and a number of people have suggested different things to try out with this Rebuke of the Vol Trapper thing. I'm going to try out the Spectral Throw of Trarthus and Blade Trap, as well as some other things people have mentioned, just to see what other ideas are out there with this whole power charge stacking setup, with the curses and the Rebuke of the Vol, with the trap throwing speed, and just see what else I can do with this. But before we jump in, I have to give a shout out to Jack Garl, coming in with the new membership to the channel. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Throughout the Keepers of the Flame League, which will go sometime into February, any new members to the channel will get a breach hand added to my wall of breach hands with their name on it. And there we go. We've got another hand added. I was able to squeeze that one in there, trying to fill some of that empty space left over from the Hynekora poster I added. So first, I'm going to revisit some of the stuff that I wish to see last league leading into 3.27. The big thing that I really wanted was the sale type selection, to remember your selection of any when searching in a private league, to be able to find the things that are in public tabs but not listed for a price. And you can set this up at the top to be any, whether they're offline or not. Still, sure, I can search for, well, that's Keepers. I want my private league search. I can find all of these, whether they're listed for a price or not. But then say I refresh the trade, scroll back down here, and this again is set to buyout or fixed price. If I wanted to search any publicly available item, I have to select that, whether they're online or not. So setting that to any allows me to see my gold rim, Tooth's gold rim that don't have a price. If I want to see offline, you have to set this to any, sure. But playing in a private league, I have to, you have to manually set this to any every single time you want to search. So I was hoping that would get changed, but then we wound up with this in-game search, which has the same kind of issue, right? Like, I just searched for gold rim. I can do that same search here. It finds all these, and then down here under sale type, even though it's defaulted to any, it doesn't matter. You have to manually put it on any to be able to search the not priced items. So now that I did that, now Tooth's is in here, and now mine's in here in the search, just having it public in the tab, and we're online. Every single time you clear filters and reset this, you have to go to trade filters and actually manually set that to any, and then still set this to any if you want to search offline. Now, this is also in-game, so it hasn't been as frustrating to deal with, but still, even though it's grayed out saying any, you have to manually set it every single time you want to do a new search. It would be cool if this actually functioned as any, even though it's grayed out, but it just doesn't. As shown by this gold rim search showing me only ones listed with a price. If I set this from any to any, now that's the ones that are publicly in a tab available to trade. So you have to do this. That's annoying. The next thing I was wanting was a rework to Elder Guardians, Shaper, and Atziri. As in the previous league, we got an update to Betrayal. The Katarina Mastermind fight got reworked so that it is more approachable, less downtime, just rework things a bit. I was really hoping to see that with Elder Guardians, Shaper, and Atziri. Atziri has this minion phase that once you kill the minions still has a 10 seconds, I'm not even joking, it is 10-second downtime where you stand there and do nothing before Atziri pops out of that phase. It's so time consuming and annoying to deal with. The Elder Guardians, you have to fight them all 3 times, and then before and after each of the phases and spawning of the fight, Elder has to go and spawn the boss. It's so annoying to go through the grind, to want to go through these. If I took all of my Elder Guardian maps right now and wanted to run all these, that's probably close to 40 maps that I have to sit and watch the Elder do his little thing. And every single map, it doesn't really serve much purpose. 6 years maybe after the Elder was introduced, if not longer. Those little cutscenes just feel meaningless and kind of like a waste of time. You don't really have that when it comes to the Elder Slayer maps, the Shaper Guardians, you just walk up and fight them. Chimera has its downtime as well, but like I don't think that's near as bad as the Elder Guardians. But then there is Shaper. Shaper is very egregious. Pretty much no one in the game wants to fight Shaper. Because when you go to fight Shaper, before you can even start the fight, you have to go down all these 4 wings to go fight 4 different bosses that are just gonna melt. They're just like a normal map boss. They'll be monster level 84, so you can drop level 86 gear off of them. But now with T17 maps existing, you really don't need that. And yeah, take out this boss. Oh, it has to run away. I just want to fight Shaper. I don't want to do this. Like, Shaper was the first big pinnacle boss added to the game. So at the time, yes, sure, make this big encounter thing, but that's not the case anymore. We just want to fight Shaper so that we can maybe go run the Feared or farm for Uber Elder and whatnot. And we have to do all this, but this is just the beginning, because Shaper, like the Elder Guardians, also has 3 phases with the whole map clearing downside thing in between that. This makes it really time consuming to farm Shaper. There was this Reddit post from a couple days ago about loot from 100 Shaper runs. Top comment, kudos to you on the nice info. 100 Shaper runs sounds like torture though. It was. So without running the Guardians, you just purchase all the fragments. It's really cheap to purchase the fragments. So if it costs 15 chaos worth of fragments to run the Shaper, and then the guaranteed fragment drop for the Uber Elder fight is worth, say, 65 chaos, that is a 40 chaos profit just for running the Shaper. That should be as sure a sign as any that no one wants to do this. The fact that you can get a 40 chaos profit in Trade League just from buying the fragments and running the Shaper is crazy. Part of that is the fact that Shaper doesn't have anything super valuable that has lots of different roles like you get with the Watcher's Eyes. There's the big drop in the Dying Sun Flask, which is worth quite a bit. But beyond that, you're really only farming Shaper for the fragment in almost all cases. And you gotta, every single time you do it, you gotta fight these 4 extra map bosses. It'll fall over pretty easily, and this isn't a boss killing character. My character's not super geared for bossing, which is another reason I want to try out different skills here. But then you also have this big dialogue entry for Shaper. Shaper's a meaningful character in the Atlas and the whole lore whatnot. And then the first phase really isn't that bad. There's no bullet hell phase and stuff going on the first time you fight him, but you still get this downtime with this portal where you just kind of, okay, we can't damage the boss. This was put in as a way to regenerate some flask charges during the fight. A couple years after this, they started, I think, giving Vol Souls and maybe flask charges based on percentage of boss HP that was removed and things like that. So there's ways around that. And that ad phase maybe spits out 12 enemies, but then you get to a third of the fight and you have to run through all this. This area that drops no loot whatsoever. You got to kill through all of these enemies, this gigantic area. What all I want to do, I want to fight the Shaper. The Shaper, I feel like, was it 7-8 years since we've got the Shaper in the game that we've been doing this. It doesn't really fit as this big pinnacle thing anymore when you have all these newer pinnacle bosses that don't have all this fluff added to them. It makes just Shaper feel worse to do. So I would love to see a big rework to the Shaper fight to make it feel good to do. Whether it needs some kind of love given to drops or what, I don't know. But there's not a person I know in the game that doesn't kind of dread fighting Shaper at the moment. It is a bigger issue as Shaper is one of the pinnacle bosses of the game. You got to go through this. Now, the second phase of Shaper has 2 different phases where you just can't damage. Let's stay in the bubble, the bullet hell thing. So it gets much harder to deal with this. I don't mind the bullet hell phase. You have to defend Xena against the ads that will come from the portal. And then you have the Uber Elder fight where there's no bubble. You have to just do the thing. And now we got to deal with this. Just more time where I can't actually damage the boss. There's just so much fluff. And downtime is in general. I'm like going through this as I'm doing the fight, so it's a little bit more obvious what I'm talking about here. It's like it really is this. And it's like, okay, cool. I got to fight the boss, so we got to do another bullet hell phase, sure. I protected Zayna, I can stand on the bubble, so nothing happens to me. It's pretty easy. You gotta know not to put the degen balls in here, sure. But then again, it's not over. We got a third phase, but we can't just go into the third phase. We gotta go through a whole nother zone of enemies that drop nothing. They also don't give XP from the looks of things here. I'm trying to watch as I'm killing stuff, yeah. No XP. No XP, no drops, you just gotta do this. Another little boss at the end here, the Unshaped. And some people might even respec their builds a little bit for like single target boss fights as opposed to map clear. This boss forces you to do them both. And finally we get to start the final round of this. There's the clone added in to this phase, and things get a little bit more tense in the third round of the Shaper fight. The different stages of the Shaper fight, like there's definitely differences to the fight warranting of like a different phase. I really just feel like these fights need modernized a bit. This is really some of the oldest boss fights in the game with Atziri, Shaper, and like the Elder Guardians. Elder has its big like portal phase thing too, but the reason that Elder doesn't feel as bad to farm is Elder has something that can be extremely valuable that's very RNG gated with the Watcher's Eyes. Here we got a Solstice Vigil, and I got a Fragment that's worth 6 times my entry fee to fight this boss. Wait, what? Shaper's Touch is worth 100 Chaos in Trade League? That's weird. Like the most common drop off of Shaper. Okay, so I did this math wrong. It's 6.5 Chaos for the Fragment. There's more value in the Orb of Dominance, the Shaper's Touch, and the Shaper's Exalt. So the Fragment doesn't 100% pay for the runs. It pays for almost half of it. So once again, that remains at the top of my list of things I want to see changed in 3.28. Modernize some of the older bosses, or continue doing that. So for an example here, I just put a Syndicate medallion in. This is how you access the Mastermind now. This fight is still kind of the same at the beginning. You kind of got to do the whole thing here. But if you haven't seen this, the fight at the end of this is much different than it used to be. It still retains all the like normal flair of the fight, but without all of the just like extra nonsense. There's only like 2 main phases of the fight rather than like 4. And you can still get XP running these. Monster level 83. Okay, so yeah, this whole room looks different. You don't have the hideout leaders in here. This is just a fight versus Katarina now. Katarina got a little bit of a glow up. Skills look a little bit nicer. And then there's not the like 4 distinct phases of the fight. There still are phases to this fight. And she still has all of her normal abilities. It's the exact same fight, just modernized a bit. And okay, did that. Keep damaging. And then yeah, now we're doing a phase transition out here. So we still block off the corners with the degen, but this is now the 4th phase of the fight instead of, or I guess this is now the 2nd phase of the fight rather than the 4th phase of the fight. Still has the blink around, and I'm gonna kill you by dropping a thing on your head. Still got the beams out from the totem in the center, though that changed how that looks. I want this to happen to Shaper, Atziri. I don't have a problem with the Elder Guardian fights. It's just like the downtime forced into that. Where is... I guess I should just pull the mini-map up here so I can keep an eye on what Katarina is doing. Ooh. And then we're just done. That's the fight. Now, hey, I got the helmet, all flame embers. Sure, you can get the ascension thing here. There's no more underground, but fighting Katarina doesn't reset your syndicate board anymore. And then the third thing I remember asking for last time, I think, was with regard to the Atlas passive tree. I wanted the Atlas passive tree just kind of shuffled up a bit, just reorganize it, put stuff in different places. And while that happened a little bit, it didn't really. The Beyond stuff was removed from the left side of the tree, the Breach stuff was removed and replaced with the Beyond, which made things feel different, exactly like I thought it would, having easier access to add Beyond into maps without being forced onto this left side edge of the tree. It just gives new pairing opportunities for Beyond in the maps. I still think this could use a big shakeup, but it's not a huge deal. And then a thing that a lot of people have been requesting is just like some kind of rework to all of these mods on the T17 maps. I've ran one T17 map this league. I don't enjoy farming them. The mods on them are ridiculous. 15% LE pin, there's no real way to build against that. 184% physical is extra damage as a random element, that's ridiculous. And all this stuff gets scaled by map mod effect as well, which they did away with a little bit. On the Atlas passive tree, these nodes here used to be map mod effect, and now they give pack size. Same as these, but now these give magic monsters, and the ones down here give rare monsters. I kind of would like to see increased effect of map mods like done away with completely. I want it gone. It still ended up feeling mandatory that you get these nodes for the extra monsters, and still you really wanted to work in this map mod effect to juice your maps. So that makes that 184% physical damage as extra of a random element a lot more damage, a lot more life on this one. Marked for Death is kind of an evil mod. Minus 20 to the amount of suppressed spell damage is like cutting your spell suppression in half now, because we lost 10% to our effect of our spell suppression, so that's a lot more punishing. Players are targeted by a meteor when they use a flask. Just like using flasks is kind of part of the game, but if you have a mage blood, no issue, right? Your flasks are just always up. Reduced action speed each time you used a skill recently, that's just evil. Like, no one wants that. So a lot of people are frustrated with the mods that show up on these maps. They suck. They're not fun to play with. It doesn't provide like an interesting challenge. It provides more annoyance than anything else. Less defenses is also kind of evil. I don't have much problem with the effects from the other map, or the pinnacle bosses. Rare monsters are Shaper Touch, Maven's in here, Volticore's kind of sucks, the attack block kind of sucks, but the Drowning Orbs, I don't like Drowning Orbs. Maven interferes with players. Runes of the Searing Exarch. I do have a bit of gripe with this one because the Searing Exarch runes are pretty difficult to see. I don't think the Searing Exarch runes should like reduce your ability to recover life. It already has a degen while you're standing in it, and it like gives you minus 10 max fire res for like 10 seconds after you touch one. That's already a pretty big deal. But the fact that while you're standing in them, you can't heal, it feels awful. Awakener's Desolation, on the other hand, also does the same thing. It has a degen effect, and it prevents you from recovering while you're standing inside of it. That one doesn't feel as bad, but they're also much easier to see. It's much easier to like locate where the Awakener's Desolation is, as opposed to the much larger AoE that comes from Runes of the Searing Exarch. Those things feel a little bit more okay to have. Like, you're giving these influence effects to the maps. That feels like a natural progression up. But targeted by meteor when you use the flask, the marked for death, the reduced action speed for using a skill, that's pretty awful. And then here's the worst one. I mean, there's a lot awful about this map. Players and their minions deal no damage for 3 out of every 10 seconds. That is the worst thing in the game. Like, map mod wise, for 3 out of every 10 seconds, your character just doesn't work. There's no challenge. It's just tedium and annoying, and no one wants that at all. Petrification statues really aren't as bad. They're scary, can get you into bad situations, but it's fairly easy to dodge those. The reduced action speed just for playing the game and dealing no damage for 30% of the time, those need to go away completely. Like, delete it. You take those two things specifically and remove them, T17 maps are just instantly a lot better. But ever since the introduction to the T17 maps, it has felt like the bosses of those maps were not designed to have map mods on them, yet we are forced to throw all these map mods on them. And in a lot of scenarios, you can put map mods on those bosses that makes them worse than Uber bosses. It's awful. Like, have you seen what Abomination map boss looks like with extra projectiles and AoE? It doesn't matter how tanky you built your character, you're just not surviving in that room. And this one has extra monster damage on it too. You know what? I can probably handle this. I'm gonna switch to my other character that might have a chance, and just to like get a visual of this. But if you're a minion build, you also really can't do this because they have less attack, cast, and movement speed. So that's a mod that really punishes one archetype, which don't really exist on the other types of maps. Really, only Poison, Impale, and Bleed players have that on normal maps, as well as like Shock, Ignite if you have map mod effect. Yeah, here's the chance to avoid Poison, Impale, and Bleed. If you're playing a Poison or Impale or Bleed build, you just can't have this mod on your maps. And this one has a minion mod on it like that. There's another normal map mod, chance to avoid ailments. It's at 70% in red maps, and it's easy to scale that over 100% if you have enough of this effective map mods. And then if you're playing an Ignite build, you just can't ignite enemies, and you just can't actually play your build. Oh yeah, let's try this. Oh, Drowning Orb. Oh god, didn't even see it. Just plowing through here. I can kill the enemies, sure. Oh, there's Drowning Orb. Drowning Orbs aren't fun. The fact that it just like instantly kills you if you get stuck in it. I don't like that there's not much counterplay to that. Wow, I just got deleted by that. Yeah, Speed Shrine. This build does not have spell suppression, so might not even get to look at the boss. Okay, I did make it to the boss. Drop a portal here. I'm juiced at the moment a little bit. And there's 3 bosses, depending on which order you kill them in, it gets crazy, but then you give like, oh, that's some massive AoE. That's ridiculous. But then it's like, oh, now they have extra projectiles too? And then this is like, oh, but those are all multi-proj things that got launched out? And she's like, well, this is kind of like how you actually approach this. I actually killed one of them. I think I got Dodre. Okay, I got another one. Okay, then Trinity comes out. I actually had enough damage for this because Headhunter buffs and Speed Shrine. Look at the AoE on that ball, but there's also 3 of them! It's like, was that actually designed to have these map mods on it? Like, what are you supposed to do about that? You know, and it comes down to, like, there's no, like, great counterplay against a lot of these bosses when you have all these mods on them, but you're forced to have all the mods. Like, you can't run one of these maps white. No. Like, you're forced to roll these maps with crazy mods on them. This boss in particular gets the most egregious with the map mods, I think. Because things can just go very wrong in this boss fight. But, like, I got killed from behind the boss that was launching a projectile in front of it! Because it's so damn big! Ended up failing that map. So, no spell suppression. Character's going to run into issues with that, but it does have some amount of resistances, really high armor, pretty solid against fizz damage, especially with flasks up, and then the permanent 26 fortification. Character's strong. So I think it's pretty understandable that a lot gets made of these map mods, because it's the map mods that are really making the bosses pretty unfair. When you take all the mods off, you just run these maps white. I think the bosses are really cool. They're definitely steps up from the bosses they're based on. There's interesting mechanics there. They're fun to fight, but when you add these map mods, it's just like, am I even playing a game anymore? Like, this is just, will delete you. What if I went in there with minus 20 max res? And that gets scaled up by map mod effect as well. But you're also giving monsters in this map fizzes extra fire. It's just like, Also, Ellie weakness, the tib change, like, the AoE and multi-proj is attached to each other on these maps. So the map that I just did, the AoE multi-proj, like, those mods are combined into one. Like, so that situation happens a lot. The only real solution to it is have enough damage on your character to delete the boss before it could do any of its things. I don't think that's a great design. 15% Ellie pins, also really, really rough. Marked for death, players take 50% increased damage after killing a rare or unique monster. What's really rough about that one in particular is there's no way to mitigate it. Like, when you run a normal map that has Shocked Ground, which increases damage taken by 50%. That's the same thing, but you can be shock immune, you can reduce the effect of shock. There's even stuff to make you immune to shocked ground. There's lots of stuff to play with there. The physical damage reduction and the LURES are combined together as well as the AoE proj. And they've already mentioned that they're gonna do a rework on the T17s. A lot of people complain about this, and I think it's rightfully so, because it's kind of evil. Rare monsters have volatile cores. Those will just one-shot you if you don't see them coming, much like the Drowning Orbs. The Drowning Orbs, you get a little bit of build-up. Double Reflect mods together. The Unstable Tentacle Fiends, that's the Elder Influence stuff that gets added. There's an enemy you kill, it starts spawning the expanding circle that blows up once it gets big enough. If you run away from that, it'll stop expanding, and then when you return to it on the screen, it will continue, and you can just like walk into this exploding thing that you left like 20 seconds ago, and it just doesn't keep going through its thing. You should be able to run away from that and it go off, and you go back, and then those aren't near as bad to deal with. Searing Exarch runes, they go away once you activate them as well, so you can kind of pick them off. Maven gets out of hand. Map boss accompanied by synthesis boss. There's numerous times I've seen these synthesis bosses just not even spawn. Monsters cannot be stunned. Action speed not be lowered to below base value. This one's a little different. The map mod that shows up on normal maps is monsters cannot be taunted. Taunt is really important for champions, so you can't roll that mod on those maps, but monsters cannot be stunned. Action speed cannot be lowered. This map mod is okay, but it looks almost identical to the taunt mod. It's a mess. But then there's the 16.5 maps that can also roll those mods on them. I also haven't run many of the 16.5 maps. There's a bunch of them in my stash. I've been piling them up most of the league. It's just more simple for me to just say I don't want to deal with all these crazy mods, because these can pull the mods that come from the T17 maps. Less defenses, Fizz's extra of random elements, unstable fiends. When Maven shows up in these T16 maps, the 16.5s, she could just go berserk and heal everything, always. And there's the like more ridiculous impale thing, the Ellie pin can show up there, the marked for death, all of it. They can all show up on these 16.5 maps, which is the newest in-game content, but I find myself like, I don't want to run that because the mods on it are just too ridiculous. Here's one that hurts my trap build specifically. Player skills which throw mines or traps throw one fewer mine or trap. So that would be a big slap in the face to this build, but most builds would be pretty unaffected by that. I think I've said enough on that. Let me move along here. Next thing I want to mention is the memory tears, which is like our new in-game content. I don't have one up at the moment. But once you find a memory tear, you have to go to Egan, who opens up a separate map device. You can't take the maps, you have to craft them in that window, which is very tedious and annoying. So you only can craft the one map that you're about to do, then you go run it, then you have to craft another one. But I think the thing that bugs me more than like having to go to his inventory thing is that when I get a normal map boss drop, I can save it. And then I can go run and farm my Shapers, my Cirrus, Elder, Synthesis maps, whenever I want at that point. But when you get one of these memory tears, it applies itself to your atlas, and then you have to stop what you're doing to go run it. You can't kind of save it up. So while the like talking to Egan to craft your maps sucks and all, I think it sucks more to be like, okay, I'm on this grind strategy, I got my whole atlas thing set up, I'm trying to farm this thing, and it's just like, okay, now you stop and go do this. But if you don't go do this, you can't farm any more of this thing. That feels bad. It just feels bad. I don't know what the exact solution to this would be. Maybe if you could have one memory tear of each of the 3 different bosses active at a time. And I think it would be cool that, let's say I got these 3 lit up maps here that have been scribed. Let's say I've got a memory chain across these 3 maps. I should be able to just take a toxic sewer that I have, roll it up, grab the excavation, grab a jungle valley, and then go run those in that order to remove them from the memory thread thing. I think that would be cool if I could just run the maps myself at my own leisure, and then I have that map boss that I can go defeat once I complete these maps. And then it adds more value to having a wider range of maps on your atlas. A lot of people will get into the like later stage of the league where they farm nothing but Jungle Valley consistently with div cards scribed from the Defiled Cathedral exactly like I have here. I'll just farm this. Trying to find Mage Blood cards. Sure. So you wind up with huge batches of Jungle Valley maps. I think it would be really cool. I could, like, other people could disagree here. That, like, I got a memory thread show up. I need to go hunt down a Mesa map, a Courtyard map, an Arsenal map, a City Square, and a Channel, and I have to run all 5 of those before I can access the boss that's here, attached to it, on that memory thread. Like, I have to go find the maps for that chain. I think that would make the content a bit more interesting to go through. And in that case, you wouldn't necessarily be forced into running the 16.5 maps that are offered to you by Egan when you have one of them. Like, it happens to me so often, where it's like, oh, memory tear showed up. Like, I'm not even going to roll the map because I don't want to go through the tedium of doing it. I just want to run the map white just so I can get rid of it. I can farm up my boss so I can go back to doing what I was doing. And then I have this collection of these echoes. I could go farm those bosses, but it wasn't what I was trying to do at the time. That constantly happens and it pulls you out of your groove. So I don't know what the solution is. My big thing here is I just don't like getting pulled out of my, like, big grind set that I've set up of all these maps that I'm just kind of in the zone, smashing these maps. And then memory tear shows up and it's like, I could not run it, but by not running it, you're prohibiting yourself from getting any more. And that is not the case with any of the other bossing content in the game, because those maps just drop and I go farm them at my leisure, which I've obviously been doing. I've not been targeting the invitations and the farming the boss fragments up for well over a week at this point. And those are the big things I want changed. I feel like a lot of people are probably harping on the map mods. I want the oldest bosses in the game to be modernized. Elder Guardians, Shaper, Atziri, a rework to the T17 like whole idea, which they've said is coming, and then a way to free yourself from the being forced to like run the memory tears. There was a time when like Alva was like that. You finished the temple, you had to run it before they itemized the temples, so you could trade them and stuff. So now you can just build up temples and run them when you want. I'm wanting that kind of thing. Or maybe you can have all 3 of them and run them with your own maps. There's a lot of different ideas that I have regarding it. Like, I'm not GGG though. Like, I'm just spitting out my ideas. If you have other things that you would like to see changed in the game, definitely leave them in the comments. Now let's talk about the reworked breach. I've actually really liked the reworked breach. I like the tower defense thing, I like the fortresses, I like the normal breaches, though the like rare enemies and boss that always spawns in the middle afterwards feels a little weird rather than just it ending. But I don't have like a big preference either way. I really like the tree, the grafts probably go. That's probably where most of the borrowed power comes from this league. It does kind of suck that you kind of have to play this on the mini-map with there's like, where are all the red dots and delete the red dots. But at the same time, it's kind of feels necessary. I don't know. I don't know how you really pull this off without like showing all the enemies on the mini-map. And I don't use a corner mini-map, so it could be a me thing that I always have my main mini-map up when I'm doing the breach content. Foulborn uniques are very fun. Lots of cool stuff to play around with there. If I had any real gripe about the breach league, it is with the boss of it. I think there was a pretty big missed opportunity when it comes to these high-brain glands going into the breach lord's hive. Maybe there's a reason for that I don't understand yet. We used to have 5 different breach bosses, and now in this hive colony thing, we only have 2, Esh and Toll. I think it would be way cooler if instead in this boss encounter we fought a random of any 2 of the 5 breach bosses rather than it always being the same fight at the end of this. I don't have an issue with this fight itself. Like, my big disappointment here is I feel like there was the missed opportunity to bring in the other 3 main breach lords and make this fight more variable, and you're like kind of entering into something different each time you fought this boss, rather than it always being Tool and Esh. Like, that's my biggest gripe about this league, I think, is that I feel like we lost 3 of our breach bosses. But I like that this feels more like a pinnacle boss fight rather than just sort of like a mini boss like the old Breach Lord's War is definitely more of a big fight. I do like that. It's challenging. It's more on line with the pinnacle bosses. And I think that feels good. I just can't shake it from my mind. Just like, what does Zoth, Old Natola, and Sheula look like in this fight? What if you just had any random two? It would make this way cooler. It would make the ring drops a little bit more meaningful. I think this is a good boss fight. It's a little bit tough to see what's going on here because the Spectral Helix of Trarthus kind of launches stuff everywhere. Difficult to see. That's my own fault, though. Oh, in the... what was the degen? It also sucks dying in that fight. You don't lose XP like a pinnacle boss, but you gotta like walk your way down this whole thing again. Almost like I wish you just put the high brain gland in the map device and then run the boss rather than having this whole run back thing. But also not a major thing. I think it was fun. It'll be nice when this is added back to the Atlas passive tree maybe, so that we could have the ability to only target one of the different breach types or something. If you want to do the tower defense thing, you can target that more, you get more graft blood, can do more stuff with the tree. Or you can just do the simpler breach encounters that expand and close. Or if you want to target the fortress, you could do that. I think the League mechanic gets a lot better once the Atlas passive tree gets added back into things. And if we're going to be like reworking League mechanics, maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that we could have Synthesis back. Synthesis was one of the coolest out-of-map mechanics that we've had. It was really cool, like, building up your whole path through that, and then you got the bosses at the end, and I still miss that League mechanic. I thought it was fantastic. Chaos damage. Died to that. Maybe there could be a Delve rework that brings in new resonators and new fossils. I've been imagining like this 9-socket resonator, and you have new fossils that give mod tier rating, and it wouldn't be as insane as Necropolis with its like 70-something plot thing that you could do, but it would be more controlled crafting than you can get with the tree. And that's a lot of that comes from adding mod tier rating that you don't get on fossils normally. So maybe that could be something we see in the future. I don't know what their plans are, but overall I enjoyed the reworked breach mechanic. It definitely feels a lot more fresh than breach was. It was one of my least favorite things to actually farm. And I've enjoyed farming this breach stuff, and having the Foulborn uniques like gives something to chase there always. I hope the Foulborn uniques stay. I hope the tree stays. The tree feels the most powerful when you're leveling new characters and you already have the tree leveled up. But you probably wouldn't have access to breach in the like normal campaign. And here we got a ring. Got a Zoth ring. In my opinion, you should only be able to get this ring by killing Zoth in this boss encounter. So the main thing that I'm still interested in exploring in this league probably will be my focus when I return from however long I've been playing PoE 2. I want to make a Herald stacker using the new Herald of the Hive skill that comes from combining all 5 of the different rings that you can get from the boss encounter. I'll probably farm several more of those today, but you have to get all 5 of these rings and then combine them together to make a different one. Sold some stuff, sold the 6 link, sold the thicket bow, another bow, warlock gloves, cool. I need to get my shop restocked for anybody who's continuing to play in the Keepers of the Flame GSF. Get as much of this stuff that might be useful thrown in there. I also should have mentioned this earlier on in the video, but if you're looking to participate in the PoE 2 Last of the Druids Fate of the Vol GSF, we do have that set up. The link to this is in the Discord. If you want to get to that, link is in the video description. This is the largest player base that we've had in one of my private leagues going into a league start, so that's really exciting. A lot of hype around the Druids. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to mention. Changes I want to see, thoughts on the league mechanic. Now, I guess, let's see if I can get a Spectral Throw of Trarthus, or if I have to go find one. Yeah, There's one. Cool. Spectral Throw of Trarthus. Fires mini spectral copies of your melee weapon. They fly out in all directions, then return to where the trap triggered in a spinning attack that damages enemies in their path. Okay, that needs to get leveled a little bit. I have a level 21 blade trap. Quality gives an extra rotation. There's a 20 quality blade trap out there. Dagger, claw, one-handed sword. So it'll work with the sword. What is this? Onslaught for 4 seconds on hit, synthesized ring. Nice. A lot of rarity on there too. Cool. All right, so now I can get this leveled up a little bit and try those out when I can get them like level 17 or something. There was something else too. Fury Valve. What happened to that? Modifiers to number of projectiles instead apply to the number of targets split towards. I don't know if this is going to do much. If I wanted to use this, I would need to get the frenzy charges back. Someone asked me to see what this looked like though. If we had these splitting, I do think it kind of splits, actually. They just go like rocketing off. So this doesn't have the sustained like location, but like they kind of rocket off towards other enemies. And that is kind of cool. They still pierce through everything. That's strange. I don't think it beats the like +5 frenzy charges that comes from Badge of the Brotherhood. I guess this would cap me at 7. No, I could get the power charge back on here. It just drops me down to 3 frenzy charges, so I would just have to spend 3 points to get back to 5. Now this is also 2 points, so it'd be 4 passive points to get back to 5 frenzy charges for the trap throwing speed. Felt like the splitting was a bit more destructive, but the ability for them to bounce around and be able to hit so much more things, I think just works better than the split. Normally with Spectral Helix, additional projectiles like will change the number of like rotations or bounces. Like when it hits a wall, it'll bounce back. Modifiers to number of projectiles instead apply to the number of bounces. Another thing I was asked about, returning projectiles. Ooh, that's a green gem too. So I guess put that in here for the trap and mind damage. Let's see what that does to things. So they'll probably still go their full duration. I don't think they return to me. I think they return at the end to where the trap was triggered from. Yeah, they go back to where the trap went off. So it seems like it kind of has the effect that the Spectral Throw of Trarthus would. I don't think it's really worth a gem socket. It's not really adding much because they're still going to go through their bounces and whatnot. It might help them hit a single target again. Let's see here. We throw a bunch of them at the boss. They're going to spread out and then all return. Turn off the Brutal Shrine. So normally they'll all kind of only hit once, but yeah, now they can kind of return, but they deal 70% less damage when they return. And I had to give up like initial damage from the trap and mind damage. I don't think that's great. That's probably the biggest issue with the Spectral Helix of Trarthus, is that it's hard to get multiple hits out on bosses without like going heavily after reducing projectile speed. Reducing projectile speed helps because you can sometimes keep a projectile within an enemy long enough that it'll hit multiple times. And a big part of the Spectral Helix is the more damage if the thing has pierced an enemy. But they kind of start at the middle and they go out, and they're not going to keep hitting that boss. Alright, so Blade Trap I've seen before. This will definitely work better against a single target. All these will go off and they'll just spin in that location, repeatedly hitting targets. So this might be a better gem for single target. Radius might go up as this keeps leveling. But then Spectral Throw of Trarthus. This now says fires 4 projectiles. Fires projectiles in a circle. I don't know what that means. Let's see. What is that going to do? Okay, so it launches them in all directions. Ooh, that might just be better. So if we have a bunch of traps down. Okay, I didn't realize it was going to fire all those projectiles. That would probably also be better against single target. Because when it, like, if I'm getting the traps on the target, they're all going to return to where the trap went off. I guess it's a question of like The attack damage effectiveness I've added on Spectral Helix is up to 220 at level 20. I don't know if this is going to quite get there. And this might also benefit from less projectile speed instead of more projectile speed. Lowering the projectile speed doesn't just increase the chance that all these projectiles like hit the target multiple times, but they also don't go as far. They don't have as far reach. Huh. I'm more intrigued by that than I thought I'd be. Keep them leveling, though. I think both of them should be able to clear maps in this exact same setup. Just swap the gym. Oh, I got the wrong gym swapped back in. Okay, I guess we're doing this one with Blade Trap. Blade Trap, it's killing things, right? It's like the exact same setup. Like everything I put into the other build still works for this one, except it's not a projectile skill. Okay, so not everything. This projectile stuff down here is doing nothing for the Blade Trap. I don't want to spec out of that, though. Let's just put the Spectral Throw in. Like, the Blade Trap was killing things, so maybe the Spectral Throw will as well. And for clearing, I don't think I'm going to want this to have less proj speed. So, yeah. Put this back on the Moor. Moor is just going to be better for coverage and clearing. Also give the Spectral Throw an MTX. Spectral Throw becomes golden, or the Seraph. Let's do the Seraph. So now it'll be easier to see where the projectiles are going, I'm sure. Oh yeah, definitely easier to see. And how does this work? It doesn't quite have the coverage that the Spectral Helix does. Like, I mean, it can hit a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. Spectral Throw is actually working a little better than I thought it would. And we're going to make it through this breach encounter with this. So it's not only the Spectral Helix that can work with this. There's other options. Sanctuary map. Okay, Aberrath. So all these projectiles are going to return. I should get the mark out. I saw the Wreath of Light that I can throw down. The lucky damage. The hits aren't going to be as hard with this, I don't think. It's not going to scale up to the 220%. It gains additional projectiles, though. So here, in this scenario, it might be more beneficial to go get the additional projectile, and the monsters cannot block your attacks from in here. Additional projectile in the Spectral Helix only is another bounce, so it really doesn't matter much. Additional projectiles here, though, it's just going to launch more and have more that can come back and re-hit the target again. Actually works kind of nice. With all those puzzle box. Oidal Kitava's Thirst. Frostwall and Fleeing Rare Monsters. Additional packs of map bosses with Cirrus. I want to see if it's plausible. I have a bunch of regret orders. You know what? Let's just see. Blade Trap means I remove all of this. That's 7 points. I think I'm just going to get crit multi, crit chance, and multi. Blade Trap's gotten a little bigger with the levels from the last map. Now this just kind of like locks down a location. Like anything in this location's going to get hit by traps and die. This is probably the best scenario for a single target, just from my estimations here. Actually, this feels really good. Actually, I'm a little surprised. Like, rare enemies get caught up in this and just like evaporate. It's still a trap skill, so I'm still applying all those curses on hit. That's good. I'm lucky this breach encounter doesn't have stuff coming from all directions, so this will be easier to fend off with the blade traps. The fact that each one of the traps will hit multiple times, like repeatedly, this has to be the single target. Like, I don't think I'm getting better single target with either of the other skills. Even with their pierce possibilities, I'm not seeing it. But this, though, feels good. Just because I can reliably get the multiple hits, whereas you can't with the projectile ones. Boss is tormented. Yeah, you get enough traps on it. Well, don't want to spam down too many. Because I'll... Ooh, maybe this has a mana issue. 16 mana cost. Okay, I'm having a mana problem. Is there an attack tag on this? There is. The reduced mana cost of attacks if I take the helmet off, 43. So that is working. The reduced cost. But I guess the big solution here, I mean, it's going to keep gaining mana cost as it levels too. Just let's just level the clarity up. That's the quickest way to remedy that situation. Soul Eater, lightning shock resistant. It's a pretty tough one to crack. Here we go. Rude. I struggled with this dude. With the Spectral Helix. Oh, it's so hard to see. Alright, spam traps. Okay. Finally got him. in a bunch of them. Kind of felt about the same. Alright, still need more mana regen. It's getting closer though. Blade Trap leveled up. So now it's a 17 mana cost. Yeah, that's... okay. Different issue with the Blade Trap. It might be better. Instead of just leveling my clarity, it was like level 5. Just remove this clarity that's now level 11. How about a level 18? Alright, there we go. No mana issues anymore. I can spam as many traps down as it'll let me. I guess I was checking that before I had Frenzy Charges. That matters. 8 Frenzy Charges is a lot more trap throwing speed. So yeah, I can still drain my mana. But I have a lot of throwing speed. And here's a Memory Tear. Yeah, if I drop all the juice... have the Curse, the Bear Trap, the Wreath of Light. That is with Boss Life too, and Enfeeble. I was about to say, I didn't feel like it was doing as good as it should have, but Boss Life and Enfeeble will pause that. Okay, Curse, Bear Trap, Wreath of Light, and then Spam, but also stand inside of this, and low life enemies die. So then here's Egan, Memory of Loneliness. We got 5 maps, and then I gotta craft and run them in here. Like I was talking about earlier, it's easier just to like not worry about it, even though I have the resources to craft them magic. But crafting these magic, like it always has these like next level mods on them, like the T17 mods. The double reflect debuffs expire faster. It's actually a good one for this. But instead of this, like coming here, there's this locked map in here. You have to craft it from here each time. I wish I could just go find each of these maps, run them in that order to progress the chain rather than this whole separate map device from Egan thing. I don't like this more than anything. That Empower I got last time leveled up to 2. Yeah, he's going down a little quicker this time without all that extra life. Mark, Bear Trap, Wreath of Light. I mean, the boss is already dead before I get all the stuff off. So I guess another thing, the altars at the end of the maps, how does that work with the chains if you were to like add it to the actual atlas and run your own maps? Like, it could just be the next Jungle Valley map I run. We'll have it, because when running the maps from Egan, if you fail it, like, it'll say that the map is cursed or something. I'm just going to open this. So I could open a new one here. Yeah, area is cursed, penalizes drops, player XP, and restricts certain content from appearing. Blade Trap has an AoE tag on it, so why that is important is that my Ascendancy actually offers something. Hits have a 30% chance to deal 50% more area damage. Since there's an AoE tag, it counts as area damage. And Bomb Specialist can actually buff this. I haven't done my 3rd or 4th Ascendancy. Yeah, these altars. Like, I don't know how this works. There probably could be a way if this were to, like, go through my idea of, like, putting these actually on the tree so you can just run them whenever. Hey, hi, Fortress. I'll be able to go to the tree after this. And I'm really curious to see how this Blade Trap performs in the Fortress. With the Spectral Helix in here, it got to the point where I just like launch traps in the directions of the red dots and wait till the encounter ends. It was very easy to clear these. But I imagine this is probably going to go pretty similarly, because there's a duration on these traps. It just doesn't have quite the reach that the others did, as it could like, the Spectral Helix could really penetrate into the lanes with its projectiles. These aren't going to be able to do that, but it's going to lock down a location a little better than the Spectral Helix did. Like, the damage is definitely good enough here that I'm going to be able to like kill the things. I don't got that issue. But yeah, pretty much works the same. Just throw some traps at where the red dots are coming from. Throw some over there. Throw some up here. And all that stuff coming from that left side just kind of got swallowed up by it. So it's doing well. Still way better than like doing this melee. Doing this melee is awful. Even with the Cyclone and the Headhunter where like everything dies instantly, it's like I still gotta move around to all this stuff. And you can get overwhelmed. Like, I can stay in the middle on this and just throw traps where needed. Lost a couple HP there. Didn't really have to go crazy. Oh, dang, I could have taken Bismuth in there. I got a bunch more gold. Mana cost just went up again. Incandescent Invitation. Ooh, that's a good idea. Let's go kill Exarch with each of the different options and compare after I finish the memory thread. It's the last one of these. Yep. Crit resistant, extra life, lightning, and shock resistant. This is the toughest enemy I've seen thus far. That's bad because, like, I have Awakened Out of Lightning on, and all of my damage is crits. Alright, Cirrus. Bear Trap. Curse. The mark? Is the mark there? I don't know. It's just like a blur of stuff. Die Beam. Another Bear Trap. Wreath of Light's on cooldown. No mods on this either. He moves around. Bear Trap, Wreath of Light. Stand in the Wreath of Light. He's over there now. Hit him. There we go. Nope. No lingering damage on it. Echo of Loneliness. I guess I should go run the lab too. I think this is really the thing that's just gonna make Blade Trap be better. Is the fact that there's actually a fourth ascendancy for it. You know what? Why not? Argus. Drop all my stuff. Yeah. Treasure key. Two-handed sword. Bearers. Not super worried about this. Okay. I'm getting damages extra from the conduits. That's fine. I'll take the key. Turned off the traps in the boss room. Alright, let's do this. Done. Got an extra offering. Bonus keys. Solaris Circlet. That is a Gale Sight. I got 2 crafts. Let me ascend. And then AoE. 30% chance to deal 50% more damage. So 15% more damage. Alright, 2020 Animate Guardian. I can throw that in there. I don't know that I should. So a green and a blue. Level 1s, but 20 quality. Glacial Cascade of the Fissure. Ice Spear of Splitting. And Penance Brand of Conduction. Ice Spear of Splitting. And then the green one. Explosive Trap of Magnitude. Blade Blast of Dagger Detonation on Storm Rain of the Fence. Ugh. Explosive Trap of Magnitude. Okay. Then if I were to get a Bloodline Ascension for this... Where is it? This one. This is the Breach one? Yeah, I probably would have done this. Less lightning damage taken and less fire damage taken for the other build. So it wouldn't affect the damage at all as we go into this bit of testing. Alright, round 1. Blade Trap. Okay. Mark him, Bear Trap, hit the Wreath of Light, stand in the Wreath of Light. Now we're over here. Do another Bear Trap. Move out of that. Okay, I gotta move. Keep throwing traps when I can. Okay, gotta move. That was close. Really? Still not phasing. Okay. Fine with that. Okay. Not bad. It's like underneath the Maven. No. Damn. Oh, I didn't wait either. Okay, that might have been the end of it. Ramp this back up. Okay. This might finish him. Yep. Okay, that didn't go bad. So then, I need to spec out of this crit multi, this crit chance and multi. You know what? It honestly might be better just to leave that. This is, for 7 points, 90% crit chance. And what I did was only giving me 50. And this is 10, 20, 50 multi. Whereas this was 30. Plus I think this is 52 in total. 54. Cancel. Just leave it. I can't alter the projectile speed, though. So I'm not going down here to get the more or less projectile speed. And then we just swap in Spectral Throw of Trarthus. Otherwise, everything's the exact same. I don't need as high level of clarity in because this costs 15 mana to use to do all that. Whereas the Blade Trap cost 36. Big difference. All right, let's go. These should all like come back in and hit again. I need the Wreath of Light. I did get the mark. Move behind that. Staying in the Wreath of Light. Okay. Bear Trap again. Heard the Bear Trap go off that time. Alright. Then it throws me into this. I think the Blade Trap is just better damage, without a doubt. This does look cool, though. And yeah, I got an easy ball phase because it happened before 50% HP. Which means he's probably going to be quick back into a ball phase. that ball phase feels fair. It's the one that comes out, and I push the Wreath of Light as he's doing this again. I did that in the last attempt. Okay. Move off of that. Yep. Okay. There. Oh! We're gonna go Shrouds. Okay, he's back though. This doesn't have the always stack without moving. That almost got me there. This definitely is not as much damage. It looks cool. And it could kill stuff that's not, like, on top of the boss. So at level 17, this got up to 130% effectiveness of added damage. Now the Spectral Helix has 220, so its hits are harder. I actually think this might be the worst of these attempts. At this, drop the Wreath of Light, stand in that. Oh no, the effectiveness of added damage definitely making up for the not getting as many hits out. It's actually feeling pretty nice. Get me out of that. I'm getting stun locked. Oh god. Okay, yeah, the damage definitely feels better than this than the Spectral Throw. I think the Blade Trap was still better just because it has the mechanical ability to hit multiple times on the single target. Whereas the Spectral Helix doesn't as much. But it has the effectiveness of added damage to make up for it. And then if the boss like moves and can somehow get hit by multiple of the hits. Now we get to... Oh, that was not a hole. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I did not do well on that. Okay, back to it. Oh, still some balls out here? Okay, I dropped the Wreath of Light. Now, if I just did the same thing with the, like, slower projectiles, the less projectile speed, like, it could be better. Eldritch Exalted Orb. So I think Spectral Throw is the worst of them. 3 more levels on this isn't going to change the fact that it doesn't have enough effectiveness of added damage to really do a single target. Spectral Helix has the effectiveness of added damage to actually do good enough, but it doesn't really do well at hitting a single target. Blade Trap does fantastic because it can hit multiple times. It has the lowest effectiveness of added damage, but it'll hit the single target multiple times, thus making it a little bit better at bossing, but it's not as good at clear. Spectral Throw and Spectral Helix are both about the same at clear, but Spectral Helix will be better due to the effectiveness of added damage. And maybe, let's look this up. Spectral Throw of Trarthus. It doesn't show in this table if a projectile. It says here fires 3 to 5 projectiles, so there's probably another projectile I can get as that continues to level. This says, enemies can be hit more than once by the same projectile. An enemy can be hit once per attack every 0.225 seconds. Enemies can be hit by more than one projectile from the same skill use. However, the 0.225 second cooldown is applied per attack, not per projectile, which means it is not possible to shotgun. Interesting. An enemy can be hit once per attack every 0.225 seconds. Well, say if I throw the Blade Trap, but since I throw 3 of them at a time, I think I just threw 6, can an enemy only be hit once per the 3 every 0.225 seconds? Okay, let's consider then. Removing cluster traps. I have a level 20 added cold damage in my shop. Okay, put that in there. And then let's go in there throwing one at a time. Let's turn the clarity on so what I just read on the wiki is why the Spectral Throw didn't perform better, because it can't actually shotgun with all the projectiles that it launches out, because they're all part of the same attack. But now I'm wondering, is all 3 traps part of the same attack? So maybe I'm losing a lot of damage due to that innate cooldown built in. And Cluster Traps has a bigger mana multiplier than added cold damage as well, so it's not as mana intensive. Okay. Let's see, is this feeling better? I think so. I think this is better. So I think that is correct. That all 3 traps count as part of the same attack. And you're taking less damage per trap from the cluster traps anyways, because that's a mod on the cluster traps. So that's affecting the Spectral Helix as well. That's not just a blade trap fix. I survived the ball phase. Huh. I never would have thought that the cluster trap would be preventative in that way, because that was definitely the fastest kill by far. Okay, let's put Spectral Throw back in with the added cold damage. And this Spectral Throw, it's still going to launch projectiles in 4 directions. And they're all going to come back. I have plenty more of these too, so I can keep testing. Like, yeah, keep throwing, get the mark. Bear Trap, Wreath of Light. I don't know, I feel like this damage is better as well. This Cluster Trap is like bait against a single target because, at least with these, there's that hit rate limit. That's crazy. Huh. Get out of that. Wreath of Light. It's definitely better than it was the first time with the Cluster Trap. Like, I think there's no doubt there. Okay, back at it. Out of there. Oh, I went back into it, actually. Bear Trap. Cleansing. Let's start moving. Alright. Bear Trap. No, I pushed the Wreath of Light right there, too. Survive the balls again. That's cool. Hey. Okay. Spam. Wreath of Light. Give me the Wreath of Light. Give me the lucky damage. Okay. Just like tanked all of it. Kill him. Kill him. Okay. Boots. And I'm guessing when I put the Spectral Helix back in, we're going to see about the same damage increase, and the Spectral Helix will still feel better than the Spectral Throw, all because of effectiveness of added damage. Okay, yeah. Individual traps. Okay. Yeah, the damage off of this is just way better than the Spectral Helix, without a doubt. Oh no, I feel like this is even rivaling the Blade Trap at this point. That got some damage out.
Disintegration. Cleansing. Incineration.
Okay, incineration. Get out of there.
Annihilation.
Oh, annihilation. Okay, that's some time for more damage. Ghost Shrouds are also very good. Is he just gonna stay in the middle of me? You cleansing twice? Okay, I think that was actually better than the Blade Trap, which is crazy. So maybe some of the Spectral Helixes are hitting multiple times? Because there's no way that the effectiveness of added damage just covers every bit of that. And this No, not committing. I panicked. I might have been able to commit. Okay, so this has a 93% effectiveness, so it would have to hit 2.5 times to get the damage from one hit of the Spectral Helix, which it does. It definitely gets those hits out. I want to do one more Blade Trap one. And then the mana cost issue kind of just makes Spectral Helix seemingly the best option. Yeah, they're pretty close in terms of damage. I need to use the Wreath of Light. The lucky damage is a big deal. Yeah, Blade Trap is better damage. Especially with the lucky. Dead. Without a ball phase. So with the ability to hit much more times, the Blade Trap still ends up being better. It's worse at clear. Best overall, Blade Trap, then Spectral Helix, then Spectral Throw. Because I was clearing maps just fine with the Cluster Trap. I mean, Cluster Trap is good for clearing maps, without a doubt. But I just learned something reading the wiki, so. King's March has 4 days in gold, and I think that's where I'm going to stop for today. My mind's really on Path of Exile 2, which as I'm recording that, it's like 21 hours away. I got my sleep schedule oriented in that direction. Oh, I guess I need to go to the tree. We need to spin this Graph Blood and see if I can get my amulet that I wanted. Profane Proxy, Storo of the Divine, Foulboard Bramblejack, bunch of flat armor. Okay. Eye of Innocence, Ilardex. Damn. Okay, I have Mysterious, so I can keep fishing for Ancients. There's one. Thief's Torment, another Ancient. Asenath's Touch with Punishment instead of Temp Chains. That's fun. Another Ancient. So last attempt here, Gloomfang. And then I guess let's fish for weapons with the last bit of this. And yeah, based on what I'm seeing here, like if you want a triple elemental weapon for something like this, that's going to be better than Rebuke of the Vault, you gotta use the Recombinator for it. I don't think there's any way around it. I don't think the tree is spitting out a weapon on a dagger claw base like it did for my bow. A T1 lightning though is pretty crazy by comparison. It's over 100 more flat damage. But you pretty much need the triple T1 elemental with crit chance, multi-craft, trap throwing speed. As far as this doing Ubers, I don't know. Maybe not with the power charge stacking, unless you really were able to get the weapon and hone in on the elemental damage with attacks per power charge, get the extra power charge on the helmet, maybe synthesize ring, be a total badass and double corrupt the helmet and get another power charge. Crazy, crazy discoveries here. I guess I could give this quality to get an Awakened added cold damage as well, since POB also liked that. And not only that, the Blade Trap gets the Ascendancy. So that's probably the thing that really pushes the Blade Trap over the top. But I think I'll call that an episode. Spend the rest of my night trying to like shove as much stuff into my merchant tab as possible, since we've got a few people that don't have interest in playing PoE 2, want to stay playing in the PoE 1 GSF. I'll give them as much access to my stuff as possible, and then tomorrow start playing PoE 2 as a dragon. I'm excited about that. That's going to be fun, and we'll see what we can get into there, and I'll be back to PoE 1 at some point. But with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button as it really helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss more videos from me. If you'd like to help support my channel, please consider using the super thanks, the heart icon just below the video, or by joining to become a member. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.